Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on a visit to Daura, announced his choice of vice presidential candidate in the person of former governor of Borno State, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, who is currently a serving senator. And Kashim Shettima is one of Nigeria's finest, and we believe he brings a lot of value to the presidential ticket. So we are quite pleased, and we pray that his formidable capacity will complement the capacity, the well-known capacity, formidable indeed himself, of our presidential flag bearer. And Nigerians will be convinced that this is about the best team that the parties in this 2022 primary season have produced. We congratulated Mr. President that under his leadership, one of the most transparent primaries took place, which saw the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as our presidential flag bearer. Governors are very, very pleased. We are very, very proud. We are equally, like I just said, very happy and proud that the vice presidential candidate is no less a person than Kashim Shettima.
Well, that's precisely what we're talking about this morning. You just heard the governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, talk about how the party and indeed the governors, the Progressive Governors Forum, are throwing their weight behind the choice of the APC's candidate, who has finally picked his vice presidential candidate, not without furore, because a look at the headlines this morning will show that it has not been received very well within the party. There has been a slew of resignations as a result of that, and those in the northern region, especially the Christians within the APC, are saying that it's going to be very difficult for them to market the candidature or the candidacy, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress. What is happening within the party as a result of this? I mean, are there worries within the party? Do they think that they will be able to pull together? What has informed this decision? It would seem from a number of things that there'll be questions about the consultations that went on within the party, especially when you see the number of resignations that have happened. And some still say that perhaps there could be more. But we have with us this morning Barrister Ismail Ahmed, who is a former national youth leader of the All Progressives Congress. He's a member of the Board of Trustees and also Senior Special Assistant to the President on Special Intervention and a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. You're welcome to Sunrise Early this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy Salah.
Yeah, I wish you the same. I see you're still in the mood of Salah.
I am.
Well, whilst you, because this announcement came during the visit of the presidential candidate of your party to the president, paying the usual Salah homage. And that's where he chose to announce this particular decision of his. According to him, there were wide consultations. But from what we have seen, the reactions which we have seen, the questions will be, was this consultation really wide enough to accommodate all views before the vice presidential candidate was settled upon?
Good morning, Mompe. This is how I see this, right? And you know, I'm known to always talk out of pure objectivity, but I like to see it from this perspective. There is no easy decision when it comes to picking the vice presidential candidate for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There wouldn't have been any easy choice. There wouldn't have been any easy decision. There wouldn't have been any decision or choice that would have been unanimously accepted by all communities or all you know, all kinds of phases or perspectives within the party structure or the general public. There wouldn't have been. I just came back from home. I just came back from Kano yesterday. And I do know that there was a lot of people who were miffed. There were a lot of people who were miffed that the Northwest, our zone, for example, who has the largest voting population of about 20 million upwards, 6 out of the 7 governors are members of the APC, 5 of which are in their second term, none of which contested against the presidential candidate in the convention. The only person that bought the form and dropped at last minute with the Jigawa State governor. And they thought that they handily picked him, and they, and a lot of people, not the governors, a lot of people, rank and file within the party thought that the Northwest could have been considered. North Central, some people thought that North Central hadn't had a presidential or vice presidential candidate in a democratic setting. And even though they have more, they have a larger voting population, 30 million upwards in the last election, in the last registration, even much more than the Northeast, they were not considered. So how far down do you have to demarcate this country? And the tendencies are a lot. I do not envy the presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I know that there was no decision or choice that he would have made that would have made it easy or that would have been swallowed hook, line, and sinker at the first go. But I do know that there was consultation that had gone on. Whether or not that consultation had everybody in agreement, which was going to be difficult in any case for that to happen, looking at the short period of time that we have to deliver a substantive vice presidential candidate. But this is what I always ask my friends when they tell me that, because there are a lot of people that have called me and said, hey, I mean, what's going on here? I don't think that anyone, least of all the media, should weaponize religion. I don't like that term, Muslim ticket, Christian ticket, that somehow portrays as if there's something wrong with being a Muslim or there's something wrong with being a Christian. I understand the symbolism that the so-called balanced ticket should have. But when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was nominated at Eagle Square, I think the least of the concerns of the delegates was whether or not he was a Muslim. I think he was nominated because of how much work and investment he has put in the political and democratic structure in the last 30 years that gave him that edge over his co-contestants, not because he was a Muslim. And I think if you look at the pedigree of Kashim Shettima as well, he is not known to be somebody who wears his religion in his sleeves, or his faith in his sleeve. He is known to be a person who is fair-minded, who is cerebral, who is formidable in terms of his capacity to deliver. You look at all these things. So no matter what I say here today, I would be unfortunately viewed as a northern Muslim first who is trying to defend a ticket that probably favors me. That's what a lot of people who are watching today probably might feel. And like I said, it was not an easy choice, but it was not a choice that was born out of the fact that Kashim Shettima was a Muslim first. No. I think it was a choice that was born out of the fact that the presidential candidate is absolutely comfortable with the man Kashim Shettima, his pedigree, and his political prowess, his ability to negotiate and to bring some certain value to the table, like you heard the governor of Kebbi State said. And I think that's what should be. And I think what we should focus on for all of us who are members of the party. A choice has been made by our presidential candidate. The day we nominated him as our presidential candidate, we have entrusted in him the ability to make certain judgments and decisions on behalf of the party. And I think we should go out and make the best out of, out of the situation.
Well, we'll see just how you proceed on that. But, some people will say that this is not the media making things up. This is the reality, and this has been the concern. Shortly after your party's candidate, the presidential candidate, emerged, there was a lot of talk. I mean, because immediately the results came out, the question was who was going to be his running mate. And there we now began to see a lot of permutations as to, where he was going to go. Will he be able to pick, will he be able to pick a Christian northerner? Because these are all the elements now that we know in 2023 now go to make a balanced ticket, so to speak. So there were early, permutations as to just which way it was going to swing. You just brought in other perspectives. I mean, talking about the representations of the different regions. But for a number of people, this is precisely, the media reflects what society is generally saying. Would you say, because some people will say that we shouldn't be told that religion is not important, that perhaps it is reflective in the choice that the candidate has made, that indeed religion is indeed important?
I'll repeat this. I don't think Kashim Shettima was chosen because he was a Muslim. I don't think Bola Ahmed Tinubu got elected at Eagle Square to represent the party because he was a Muslim. In fact, let me tell you something funny, and it might be controversial. There are a lot of people, Muslim faithfuls, that don't even believe that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is Muslim enough for them. For example, if that's what you want to talk about. There are a lot of Hausa Fulani. Let me give you an example. Let me even break it down more. You hear the term Hausa Fulani all the time, which means the Hausas and the Fulanis are the dominant part of certain region of the country. I'm sure you've never heard of the term Kanuri Hausa, Hausa Kanuri. Probably no term like that. Kashim Shettima is a Kanuri. Kanuris are predominantly in Borno, Yobe, and maybe some parts of Jigawa, and maybe Nasarawa State. So, if you're talking about that, the House of Fulanis will say, hey, we're not represented on the ticket. And, for example, so what I'm saying is...
No, let me take on your point.
Hold on. Religion, I have made it clear in the beginning, Malcolm. Yeah. Religion is absolutely important, especially to Nigerians in the political circle. There's no doubt about it. But like I said, the presidential candidate did not make that decision, I'm sure, alone because Kashim Shettima is a Muslim. He said he picked Kashim because of his competence, because he believes that he can complement him very well in discharging their duties. Okay. As president and vice president.
So granted, that was what he said in his statement, but your very first statement in the second question, which is that some people do not believe that the presidential candidate of your party is not Muslim enough.
Yeah, there are some people who...
Could precisely be the reason why he had to get another a vice presidential
candidate
that's
speculation.
Who was Muslim enough to represent
that's not
them on that ticket.
That's not predominantly what we believe.
You do not agree?
No, absolutely not. That's not predominantly what we believe. Let me tell you this, because what I'm saying is that there are so many reasons why people would find faults in every decision or choice you make. Mm-hmm. And if people are given the opportunity, they'll find all kinds of shades of opinion. You will get that. There will never be an end to that. Do we hope that there was a situation where religion doesn't matter in our politics? Yes. Where competence alone and pedigree and the credence of the candidates only is what the electorate are looking for? Maybe yes. But unfortunately, we are in a situation where we have to run a country based on developmental ideas. And we have a presidential candidate of which we have entrusted upon the right to carry our flag. And we have to trust in his judgment Of course, he has to do the necessary thing that politicians do in situations like that, which is to consult widely and have some sort of substantial general acceptability within the circle.
So let me ask
for
you
him
this.
to be able to make that choice, which I'm sure
you have
the
said in
presidential
our
candidate
politics,
had done.
you have acknowledged that in our politics today, religion matters.
And every other thing.
The question for me will be, to what extent did religion play a role in this ticket, in deciding this ticket?
You want an honest answer? I don't think much. I don't think religion played any role in the emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu...
Not Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Hold on, you said on the ticket...
I'm talking about his vice presidential candidate.
Can you give me
That's where the
some
controversy
space to
lies.
answer?
That's where the controversy lies.
Can you give me... If Bola
I'm trying to be more specific with my question.
If Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not a Muslim, would this have been controversial? No. So let's start from him, right? He is the person who made a choice. He was the person who was elected. The question is, there were 2,332 delegates that assembled at Eagle Square. Almost 50% of them are Muslims, are Christians, or of other faiths other than Muslims, for example. Overwhelming majority of them voted for that ticket. A lot of Muslims voted for other non-Muslim candidates in Eagle Square. You know, but he carries the mandate of the party today. Did religion play a role in his emergence? Absolutely no. He emerged because he is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has put in the works in the last 30 years.
So granted.
Did religion play a role in his choice of Kashim Shettima? I don't think so. I think a lot of people believed that Kashim Shettima was going to emerge because of the role he played in the emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the candidate. Because of how much he was out there, front and center, campaigning day and night. And there are a lot of party faithful who said, hey, you know, at least we have somebody who understands the value of loyalty, who understands the value of rewarding hard work. And he has given it to somebody who has actually gone out and worked hard for him. Now, like I said, there are different shades of opinion. You may agree with some, you may not agree with some. There is no easy choice in this. There is nothing that there's nobody Bola Ahmed Tinubu could have picked, you know. And I know a lot of people rooted for Governor Nasir Ahmed Al-Rufai, for example. One, because of his competence, because of how much he has turned around Kaduna State, because in his 4-year stint as Minister of FCT, he has done wonderfully well, because of the opportunities he has given young people in Kaduna and when he was Minister of FCT. Fantastic guy by all standards. And yet you still have some people on the other side of the divide that will tell you that, hey, if we had given Nasir El-Rufai, he is very polarizing, he's a lightning rod. So there is no easy decision, no matter what you see. Some people had advocated for probably Yakubu Dogara, for example, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives. Fantastic guy, good gentleman, with absolute, you know, with a humble mien who understands, you know, the politics of all these things. And he did very well as Speaker of the House of Representatives. But other people say he's not a household name yet. Who do we know? How do we go about it? So there's different shades of opinion. There was no way any of his choices would have been applauded by all and sundry. It wouldn't have happened. But as a presidential candidate, he had to take a decision and he has to take a bullet for it. It's our job as party members to go out into every nook and cranny. This election, regardless of what happens, is not going to be easy anyway. It's going to be highly competitive. I've said it on this program times with that number 2 years ago, a year ago, that the election of 2023 is going to be the most open contest since the return of democracy in 1999, because there is no incumbent seeking re-election. There's no Muhammadu Buhari on the ballot. It's going to be an open contest. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard fought down to the wire. So regardless of what the choice of Bola Ahmed Tinubu or any of the other presidential candidates and other political parties are, we must, all party members must fold their sleeves and go back to the units and concentrate. We don't want to see people jumping up and down in Abuja saying they're doing this. Go back to your units, turn up the votes. That's how we're going to win this election, regardless of who the choice was.
Let's flip this to Lagos now. Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we've got Mr. Anthony Sani. He joins us virtually this morning. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program. Well, some of your earlier submissions had been that you had cautioned that the APC presidential ticket should not go this way.
I don't want you to wait for you.
Mr. Sani, can you hear me? You're live now. So now that the vice presidential candidate has emerged...
I say, I don't want you to wait.
Are you there, Mr. Sani? Okay, I think it's just a little distracted. So, can you hear me? We need to be sure that you can. Okay, well, Mr. Sani is not set for us at the moment, so we'll see how we can address it. But we also will be bringing in Murtala Aliyu, who is the former Minister of State for Power. He also joins us virtually. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program. Can you hear us? Okay, I thought that this is sorted. Okay, who do we have on? It's supposed to be two. Mr. Liu, can you hear me? Mr. Murtala Liu, can you hear me? All right, so we'll sort that out and see how that plays out. But well, getting back to Ismail on this matter, yes, you said that it's not no easy decision could have been taken on this matter. But if that were the case, but from the narratives we heard from other party members, they seem to think differently. They kept on saying that this is the best decision that they could have taken, and that they just had to run with this. So is that impression of yours saying, look, this is the way it is it spreading across board now from all party members?
Thank you, Chamberlain. You see, there's a difference between best decision and easy decisions. Usually best decisions are not necessarily easy, but, that's why we have leaders, right? Leaders are not meant to take easy decisions, because easy decisions probably could have been taken by anyone. But we usually hope that whatever decisions they take are usually the best decisions. Personally, I'm convinced that, Senator Kashim Shettima, who I am personally very close to, is an exceptional human being. And he's a wonderful person. He's a good value addition to the ticket. Whether everybody would agree with that, this is something that we need to go out. Thank God we have time. We have 6 to 7 months to elections. We have time to go out and meet our party members who are aggrieved, and rightly so. I do not begrudge anyone who is aggrieved or anyone who is miffed enough to say he has resigned his membership of the party or resigned his membership of the support that he has for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But really, what were we thinking? We know a lot of us that have, a lot of the people that supported Bola Ahmed Tinubu pre-primaries are also aware that this could come down to this. It could come down to either one of these two decisions. But in supporting him, I would assume that you have, or we all have, subscribed to the fact that whatever decision he makes, we are going to make the best out of those decisions. So we need to go out and actually placate and pacify our members of the party and try to get other people who are not necessarily members of the party, but who are, within the gen pop, who are electorates, to be able to support this ticket. It's our job to do that. And I understand why some people would be angry. I understand why some people would be disappointed. They have their right to do so. It is not fair for anyone who does not agree with them to think that what they are doing is absolutely asinine. It's not asinine. I think what they are doing is a reaction to something they have expected that did not come through. But I think it's our job as members of the party to go out and reach out to them, to be able to pacify them and get them back on board so that we could all work this. Like I said, this election, it's going to be hard fought down to the last minute. And
just a quick one, Ismail. Just before we go to break,
hands on deck to
part of the submission from your party members too, incidentally, is such that, I mean, there was a high-ranking member in the office of a deputy governor who thinks, look, my constituency, 80% Christians, and then you come up with this. So how do I go back and campaign in that particular area after they had expected it to go a certain way? So they even thought it's also insensitive to those kinds of people. How do they deal with that?
Like I said, Chamberlain, for every argument you pick from one individual, you can pick an opposing argument for another individual. Somebody, someone running for office in Kano, for example, or in Sokoto, for example, or in the Muslim-dominated area of Bauchi or Muslim-dominated area of Taraba, would probably tell you the same thing if it has been flipped. So, I mean, let's not get into the individual arguments of people who feel as if they are going to be affected by this. In 1979, the election of 1979, if you look at the records, late Sir Chief Obafemi Awolowo, ran with Philip Omadi, who was from the southeast. They came very close to winning that election against Shagari and Ekweme. Very close. I mean, it had to go to courts. Shagari had to, the NPN at that time had to struggle to get 25% in some major states like Kano, for example.
All right, Ismail.
And that was a South-South ticket.
We need to go to break now.
That way.
But
and if and that was a Christian ticket.
All right, but they say politics is a game of interest. So those individuals also have their interest, which is essentially to them what politics is about. So they will think they cannot dismiss their own interests.
And we can never dismiss it. That's my point. We can never dismiss their interests.
Okay, we'll go to break and then we'll return and talk about some other matters. Remember, the president did speak, talking about how he's eager to go back to Daura. Then there's a question of security. And what about ASU? We'll see how we can factor all of that in just a moment. We'll be right back. We can now be joined by Nat'l Aliyu, who is the former Minister of State for Power. He joins us virtually. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, you've been at that position in governance. And looking at how things are playing out today, governance-wise, we've seen that of security, we've seen different things playing out. What is your impression of how these things are going on and how they are being handled?
Well, thank you very much, Chamberlain. We have made statements about the security before. We have not changed our position. I think the narration should be that government should give security a priority more than any other thing. The main duty of government is to protect life and property. Now, if for instance, you're using a particular method and it keeps failing, it means we need to change the method. If the personnel you are using to lead the campaign to establish security are also not performing, you need to reject them. So I think our position has been very clear. It's a primary responsibility of government, and I believe that I think a lot need to be done. A lot more need to be done.
A lot of some of the other items that seem to confuse a lot of people in terms of how government works is, for instance, the president spoke recently about ASU, saying enough is enough. They need to get back to teaching such that the future of the students will not be in jeopardy any more than it is already. But ASU says they don't understand what that is. In fact, some of the JDs refer to them as wishful thinking. And so you thought, is the president getting the right information from his handlers? And if he were, how come he's making this kind of statements about ASU, where ASU thinks it's about negotiation? You've not given us anything. How do we go back to classes?
it is our wish as leaders, as parents, that ASUP also strike. But I think it's a little beyond just commanding them to go back to the classes. I believe that government has a role to play. I believe that ASUP also need to shift ground. At one level, ACF wanted to intervene, but I think it's a little bit more dramatic than it appears to the public. So I think both the government and ASUP will need to sit down and take this matter seriously. I think it's not about commanding them or threatening them to go back to the class. I think it's about looking at all the issues they have raised and addressing those that can be addressed, and also pacify them or promise them on those that cannot be addressed immediately. The matter or the issue of selling them to this call of the strike, just like that, is a bit confusing to us too. But I believe that both sides should be reasonable. Both sides should realize the consequence of this strike, not just on the children, but on the nation. We are producing our next leaders, and we are playing with that. And other countries, the world will not take us serious if for the whole year our children are home, and then we expect that we're going to produce a good quality, people.
I know that ACF has different views about what should be with the emergence of the APC's presidential candidate. Would you want to give your perspective on that, given the conversations and reactions coming through from almost every quarter you turn?
Well, ordinarily, we don't get involved in partisan issues. I think politics is about how you intend to run the country, how you intend to win the election. And so if a political party decides to choose a candidate or a person from anywhere, that's his own business. Before now, we've been trying, the society has been trying to drag us into the North-South issue. We said, no, we don't care where a president comes from, as long as a president is a Nigerian and he has Nigeria in mind, and he'll be fair to all sides of the country. And also will address the challenges of the North, which are very peculiar. Now, when, again, a party decides to choose a particular person as their vice president, I think if they think that can make them win election, that's okay. Previously, there had been cases where people either from one side of the divide come together to have a ticket. I remember when Chibaba Femalo took Chief Philip Umiadi as his running mate. Both of them were from the South, both of them were Christians. There was no use and price. When Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe took Professor Ishaya Audu, yes, Ishaya was from the North, but he was a Christian. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was a Christian. There was no problem. If a party decides that's how they want to go and they think they can win the election, I think that's all right. It's only curious that some social-political groups are coming to say, look, they don't support this because I think we don't want to get involved in that. But I can tell you that the party will carry its own cross.
But yes, for a number of people, they think, yeah, go ahead and carry your cross. It doesn't matter where the people come from. But in the same breath, when those kind of people now look to what plays out, they see how certain things or policies seems to favor a certain group. They look at how security agencies respond to threats, security threats coming from perhaps, for want of words, from persons from different regions. They look to all of this and think, wait a minute, if they say it doesn't matter where the person comes from, but the action speaks louder than some of those words, and that's why they are so concerned that, look, if this were to be the case and the party wins, they will always view whatever happens from that prism, saying, look, this action is suspicious. They'll scrutinize it based on religion. How do we take that away?
You see, there are two dimensions to this thing. First of all, it's a multi-party democracy. I think one has the choice to go which side one wants to. If you want to, there are countries where some parties are even religious parties and people vote for them. It has happened in Israel, it's happened in India, and so on. So I think the issue is about the choice of the party and the choice of the populace. Now, if the population think that is not a good ticket, they have options in the party. I mean, there's not, even in a one-party state, that's a problem. But in a situation where the parties are many, I don't see a problem there. Number one. And number two, the second aspect of it is that, look, this issue of security agencies, either playing a role or not, we've dragged the security agencies into politics, which is unfortunate. When Obasanjo was the president of Nigeria and I was a minister then, there hasn't been a service chief that has been a Muslim, apart from the chief of defense staff that time, the gentleman from Kogi, the admiral from Kogi. And there was nobody raising any issue. And now when a number of the service chiefs are Muslims, people are raising issues and so on, I think we should allow the security agencies to do their work. And today, while some of the service chiefs are northerners, most of the security challenges are from the north. So I don't see how you can help, whether you are from the north or south, or whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, for as long as the structure of the security is not put in such a way that you can tackle problems. So as for those who think that things are going to be tilted, it doesn't help. It doesn't work before. It's not going to work in future. What I think it should be fairness. There should be fairness in the selection of people that will do your job. If you are going to take somebody, it should be somebody who can deliver, not somebody who is from your corner or from your own partition. So I think that we should give the parties a chance to go there, to do as they wish, and then we as the electorate can determine where to go.
I think one of the statements you released recently raised questions about just the kind of advice leaders get. And this was particularly maybe speaking to the president, but I'm just trying to extrapolate generally the kind of advice. I know the SF was speaking particularly about security, saying that, we can no longer tell the president what he wants to hear. I mean, we need to tell him the truth, essentially. And I just want you to speak to that particularly. It also touches on security, interestingly. So in terms of the kind of advice you think the president is getting, the kind of feedback he's getting, it looks like from that statement you think that the president might be getting something different from what is the reality on ground. So Nigerians are experiencing one thing, the shoe hurts in one particular point, but the kind of feedback, the kind of advice the president is getting is quite different. Is that what you are trying to say?
Well, maybe not exactly so. We believe that the president should get credible information. I think our security agencies developed enough to be able to tell the president the truth. Now, on whether it gets to him or not, the important thing is that the president has also other access to information. Some of them very glaring. If you look at the train attack a couple of months ago, I look at the attack on the convoy of the president going home, and look at the prison attack, which this is not the first. A serious system should take measures to ensure that such things do not occur. I know there are quite a number of such incursions that have been warded off, but I think some are so crucial and fundamental when the security system is inching not only on the masses but even on the leadership. When the convoy of the president has been attacked, you can imagine who is safe. So whatever it is, I think either that some people should resign or some people should be fired. If such a thing can happen in the country, I think an honorable person would just say, look, I can't do this job, and give way. But in a situation where people just sit on and continue giving explanation on why certain things have been done or how they can be mitigated, I think it's a bit. So we have to tell the president, look, if these people can't do their job, change them. Because we're going to hold you responsible. We're not going to hold your lieutenants responsible. We're going to hold you responsible. So if you think your lieutenants are not doing what they should, I think the important thing is to replace them or ask them to resign. So it's good to let them give them time. I'm giving you a week or two. Give me reasons on why I cannot sack you.
As a follow-up to that question, you recall the Army Day celebration during which the Chief of Army Staff said that the Army had recorded some successes in the battle against insurgency. And you would also recall how the president visited the Kuje prison, and he expressed shock, you know, and asked a lot of questions about the management of the prisons such that, you know, that magnitude of attack could have occurred. So I ask again, is the president getting the right feedback from security agents, you know, as to what exactly is going on? You know, in his remarks during the Salah Day celebrations, he also said that there are some successes that have been recorded in the Northeast, but that the Northwest has proven to be difficult. So is he getting the right amount of feedback?
Look, I cannot say whether the president gets the right feedback or not, but the important thing is that, look, it's not for the president to be shocked. It's for the president to act. I think that if some information gets to him and it turns out to be wrong, somebody must pay a price for that thing. There are areas in this, especially now if you look at some areas in the state where the ISWAP are taking over and have refused even the political parties to come there and campaign. So, you see, when you are gaining grounds in this Northeast and you are losing in this Northwest or any part of the country, I think that's a matter for concern. The point I'm making is that, look, if agencies are giving the president information and he's shocked, as he said, I think he should act, not just get shocked, not express shock. He should act.
For the president to act, you know, in the past there had been calls for him to reshuffle the service chiefs, but that was very long in coming. So in the same vein, is he going to act now?
Like I said, in an honorable system, if something like that happens, somebody should go. Either that personally, the person is honorable enough to say, look, I have failed, or the president will fire the person. The point I'm making is that, look, what other person, our own position is, look, something must be done. We can't just be expressing shots at leaders. We must just come up clearly and say, okay, this has not worked, and then we have to replace it with something else.
All right, Murtala Aliyu, former Minister of State for Power and Sec Gen of ACA. Thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Thank you.
Makwe?
Thank you, Chamberlain. Barrister Ismail Ahmed is still here with us, and just wondering, first, if you'd like to respond to what he said, particularly with regards to security, because some people believe that that's part of where your party is going to be judged, during the 2023 elections, more specifically with the Kuje prison break.
These are tough times, and rightly so. I think some people would have to bear the consequences for this atrocious act in the last few weeks. As simple as that. I think I'm also of the opinion that, you know, the hammer should really come down on some of the people that should bear responsibility for either lack of intelligence gathering on time or acting on it to stop this huge embarrassment that has been going on for far too long. You know, it's inexcusable, some of the things that are happening, especially in the Northwest. There has been considerable improvement in security in the Northeast. And I think that is kudos to the president because of how much attention that has been paid and how much resources has gone down. This president would go down in history as one of the few people that have actually acceded to all the demands of the security chiefs in terms of financial demands and weapons and security equipments and welfare, you name them. But yet, there are still issues that have been lingering on, and probably one hit too many, each one taking you closer to the breaking point. And I think that we are the breaking point, so there must be consequences for some of these individuals. I think it's as simple as that. I subscribe to that 100%.
It's a fine place to leave it. Barrister Ismail Ahmed is a former national youth leader of the All Progressives Congress, a member of the Board of Trustees of the party, senior special assistant to the president on special intervention, and a former aspirant for Senate in Kano Central. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.